Good evening, dear students. We have done with our botany discussion. Now let us start with the discussion of zoology questions. Right? And first talking about the zoology paper. Comparatively, it was an easy paper where more number of match the following questions were asked. Right? Around 10 to 12 MCQs questions in the form of match the following were asked in this paper, which is relatively easy. Right? So without further ado, let us start with the discussion of question number 151. Over here, a question is asked related to after the entry of food, right, from the small intestine into large intestine. So the undigested food which is not absorbed when it is entering from ileum into cecum, right, it is prevented by what? It is prevented by the ileocecal valve. It is present between ileum and cecum. Right? And gastroesophageal sphincter, if you see, it is present between the opening of esophagus and cardiac, stomach. Pyloric sphincter, it is present between the opening of stomach and duodenum. And sphincter of OD, it guards the opening of hepatopancreatic duct. So for this, the correct option will be option 1. Moving on to the next question. In which blood corpuscle the HIV undergoes replication and produces progeny viruses? Right? We know that HIV, it is a type of retrovirus, right? And on its cover, it has presence of glycoprotein 120. It recognizes CD4 receptors. Okay, and these CD4 receptors are present upon the T helper cells, macrophages. Okay, so HIV is going to attack these two types of cells which has presence of the CD4 receptor, right? Out of which macrophage can act as an HIV factory. Right, and because of infection, because of replication and release of the new viruses, the T helper cell count decreases. Right, so out of the option, if you see over here, one of the lymphocytes is the T helper cell, which acts as a cell in which the virus replicates and releases its new progeny. So option will be 4. Okay, moving forward to the next question. Here it is related to the genetics, human genetics part. Okay, broad palm with single palm crease. It is visible in case of a person suffering from Down's syndrome. Okay, so in case of Down syndrome, even psychomotor and mental disorders are seen. Right here, furrowed tongue and partially open mouth is seen. Okay, Turner syndrome, Klinefelter syndrome and Down syndrome, these are chromosomal disorders, right? And thalassemia, it is a genetic disorder. Okay, moving on to the next question. Question number 154. Which of the following commonly STD is completely curable when detected at early stage? And over here you must remember, except 3 diseases, that is hepatitis, HIV infection and genital herpes. This can't be cured, can't be treated and cured. Except these 3, any sexually transmitted disease, if detected at an early stage, can be treated properly. So option will be first, gonorrhea. Gonorrhea, it is a bacterial STD caused by Neisseria gonorrhoeae. Okay. Moving on to the next question. As I already told you, right, match the following questions are more. So here we have a match the following question from ecology part, right, from the organisms and population chapter. right? Or where we talk about the population interactions, right? So over here, if you see between the interacting species and the type of the interaction between them, first a leopard and a lion in a forest grassland. Right? So leopard and lion, they are of similar type, so they compete for same type of resources. So for the prey, it should be one, right? And a cuckoo laying eggs in the crow's nest, right? It is an example for brood parasitism. So for B, it should be 2. Okay. And fungi and root of higher plant in mycorrhizae. Mycorrhizae, it is a type of symbiosis, right, or mutualism. So for C, it should be 3. Cattle egret, right, on a cattle in a field, it shows commensalism. So for that, it should be 4. So here the correct option would be fourth option, right? And remember, competition, if you see, it is a negative and negative type of interaction, right? Mutualism, it is a positive and positive type of interaction. Commensalism, positive and neutral type of interaction will be seen. Okay. Next, moving further to the next question. Again, a match the following question. Okay. Here it is from the digestion and absorption chapter. Okay. And repeatedly questions are asked from this particular area related to the secretion of enzymes. Okay. So peptic cells, if you see, peptic cells help in the production of enzymes. Right. Proenzyme, that is pepsinogen. So over here, A should be 3. Okay, goblet cells, they secrete mucus, right? Goblet cells are producing mucus, so B should be 1. Xanthic cells or the parietal cells help in secretion of HCl and Cassell's intrinsic factor, right, which helps in the absorption of vitamin B12, right? So for oxanthic cells, it should be 4. And hepatic cells, these are the cells of liver, right? They help in the production of bile juice, right? So going with this, the correct option should be A3, B1, C4 and D2. Okay. Moving further to the next question. Over here it is a statement type of question. Statement 1. A protein is imagined as a line. Right? The left hand end represents the first amino acids. Always if you see in case of any protein, right, it consists of amino acid chain, right, connected with the help of peptide bonds. Right? The first amino acid on the left hand side has presence of free amino group, right? Free amino group is present, and on the right hand side there is a presence of free carboxylic group. Okay, so the left end will be called as the N terminal, and the right end it is called as the C terminal. Right, so over here it says that the first end represents first amino acid C terminal, which is wrong, right? And the last amino acid represents N terminal, which is also a wrong thing. So first statement is incorrect. Next, adult hemoglobin consists of 4 subunits, which is correct, right? There are 4 globin chains, out of which 2 are alpha and 2 are beta, right? So 2 alpha type, 2 beta type in case of in the more number of individuals, and in some cases they could show even delta type. Instead of beta, 2 delta type can be seen. Fetal hemoglobin, if you see, 2 alpha chains and 2 gamma chains can be seen, right? So this statement is correct. So statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is false, right? So statement 1 is false and statement 2 is correct, right? Option number 3. Moving on to the next question, again related to a statement type. Okay, RNA mutates at a faster rate, which is true, right? So RNA consists of certain unstable molecules, right? Presence of uracil and ribose. Okay, so it is, we can say, less stable than DNA. It is less stable than a DNA. Viruses having RNA genome and shorter lifespan mutate and evolve faster, which is also correct. Right? Example, we can say HIV, right, which mutates at a faster rate, isn't it? That is the reason production of any vaccine, it is very much difficult for it. Right? So over here, both statement 1 and statement 2 are right. So option should be both statements 1 and 2 are correct. Option number 4. Right. Moving on to the next question. Again, another following question related to the contraceptive methods. Vasectomy. If you see vasectomy, it is a type of contraceptive method where vas deferens is cut and ligated. Right? It is a type of surgical method. Right? Coitus interruptus, where if you see the withdrawal of penis will be done before ejaculation. It is a type of a natural method. Cervical caps are used by females. It is a dryer method. Right? And Saheli, it is an oral contraceptive pill developed by CDRI Lucknow. It is a oral method. Right? So over here, the correct option would be 3, 4, 2 and 1. Okay? Option 1. Right? Moving on to the next question. One more as the following question here related to the diseases. If you see ringworm, it is caused by 3 genera of fungi: Trichophyton, Epidermophyton and Microsporum. So A will be 2. Filariasis or elephantiasis, it is caused by a helminth, Wuchereria bancrofti. So B should be 3. Malaria, it is a protozoan disease caused by 4 different species of Plasmodium. So malaria, Plasmodium vivax. Pneumonia, it is a bacterial disease caused by Haemophilus influenzae and Streptococcus pneumoniae. Right. So D will be 1. So A 2, right? B 3, C 4 and D 1. Option number 4. Right? Is that clear? So we will be discussing further questions. Question number 161. So question number 161. Again, it is a match the following question from hormonal regulation. Right? So over here, the CCK, cholecystokinin and pancreosin, right? These are released from the small intestine, right? And they act upon pancreas as well as gallbladder. So A will be 4. For A, it should be 4, right? Gastric inhibitory polypeptide, GIP, secreted from the small intestine, acts upon the gastric glands. It decreases the secretion of the gastric glands. So B should be 3. ANF, it is released in response to high blood pressure from the heart. Right? From the atrial walls, ANF is released. So for 3, it should be 2. ADH, whenever there is a increased osmolarity in the body fluid, ADH is released from the posterior pituitary, secreted from hypothalamus, released from the posterior pituitary, right? And it acts upon the kidneys and helps in reabsorption of water. So ADH should be 1. So the correct option should be 4, 3, 2 and 1, right? Option number 4. Moving to the next question, a statement related question. Vas deferens receives a duct from seminal vesicle and opens into urethra as ejaculatory duct. So if you see in the prostate region, right, so there will be opening of this ejaculatory duct into the urethra, so which is a correct statement. The cavity of cervix, right, along with vagina, it forms the birth canal, which is also a correct statement. Vagina, it is called as the copulatory canal. Vagina and cervix together, we can call it as birth canal, because during parturition, the baby passes through cervix, through vagina, and it is delivered out, right? So both statements 1 and 2 are correct. Okay. Next, question number 163. Right? It is related to the applications of biotechnology. Right? Which one of the following technique does not serve the purpose? Does not serve the purpose of early diagnosis. right? For a disease, for its early treatment. Say, early diagnosis can be done with the help of modern techniques. PCR, ELISA, as well as RDNA technology. These are modern techniques. They help in early detection, right? Whereas serum and urine analysis, these are, we can say, classical methods. This will help in detection of any disease after the symptoms, right? So these cannot help in early detection. So option 1 would be the answer. Okay. Moving further to the next question, question number 164. It is related to cell biology. Right? So which of the following are not considered as a part of endomembrane system? First, let us see what are the parts in the endomembrane system. Endomembrane system, it consists of endoplasmic reticulum, right, Golgi complex, right, lysosomes, as well as vacuoles, right? This comes under endomembrane system. So mitochondria, it is not a endomembrane system. Endoplasmic reticulum, it is a part of endomembrane system. Chloroplast, again, not a endomembrane system. Golgi complex belongs to the endomembrane system. Peroxisomes, again, it is not a part of endomembrane system. Right? So A, C, and E. Right? Option number 1. Moving on to the next question, question number 165. Here it is related to tobacco, drug, and alcohol abuse. Right? So if you see heroin, it slows down the body function. Right? Heroin, it slows down the body function. It is an opioid drug. Marijuana, it is a type of cannabinoid, and we know that cannabinoids, they affect the cardiovascular functions. Cocaine, it is a coca alkaloid, right? It interferes with the transport of dopamine. Morphine, again a opioid, right? It is a type of sedative, can be used as painkiller, right? So the correct option should be A2, right? B1, C4, and D3. Option number 4, right? Moving further to the next question, statement 1 and statement 2 type. Low temperature preserves the enzyme in a temporary inactive state. We know that, right? What happens? Enzymes are biologically active proteins. Decrease in the temperature brings the bonds together. As a result, the enzymes, they become inactive, right? So it is with respect to the effect of temperature. Under lower temperature, enzymes are inactive, and higher temperature will cause breakdown of the hydrogen bonds, which will lead to denaturation of the protein, right? So this statement is absolutely correct, right? Next, when the inhibitor closely resembles the substrate, if the inhibitor is closely resembling the substrate, right, and it is competing, it is a type of competitive inhibitor. Okay, example for succinic dehydrogenase, succinate and malonate, right, where malonate acts as a competitive inhibitor, right? So this statement also is correct. So option 4, where both the statement 1 and statement 2 are true. Moving to the next question, question number 167. Which of the following functions are carried out by cytoskeleton in a cell? We have seen in locomotion and movement, right? The amoeboid movement, cytoskeletal elements and the microfilaments present within the cell. Streaming of cytosol, it helps in case of motility, right? So motility is a function of cytoskeleton element present in a cell. Okay. Question number 168. Again, here there are two statements. Statement 1. Ligaments are dense irregular tissue. Right? Ligaments, they come under dense regular. Right? So this statement is wrong. Cartilage is a dense regular tissue. No. It is not a dense regular tissue. Rather, it is a specialized specialized connective tissue. Right? So here both statements 1 and 2 are false. Option 1. Right? Moving to the next question related to joints from locomotion movement itself. Cartilaginous joint. Cartilaginous joint which will help in comparatively little movement, right, due to the presence of cartilage. It can be seen between the adjacent vertebrae found in the vertebral column. So A will be 2. Ball and socket joint. It is a type of synovial joint, freely movable joint found between the head of humerus and the pectoral girdle in the glenoid cavity. So B will be 4. Fibrous joint, which are innervable joints, which are found as sutures and gum forces. Sutures are found between the flat skull bones. So C should be 1. Right? And a saddle joint, which is a modified ball and socket joint found between the carpal and metacarpal of the thumb in this region. Right? So D should be 3. So option should be 2, 4, 1 and 3. Right? 2, 4, 1 and 3, option 1. Moving further with the next question, question number 170. Right? It is related to lac operon. Right? Lac operon, if you see, right, for coding of a gene, here you can take a operon which consists of different sites Z, Y and A. A helps in coding trans acetylase, right? Y helps in permease. Z, beta galactosidase, right? And I, it is for repressor protein, right? So gene A, it codes for trans-acetylase. Gene Y, it codes for permease. Gene I for repressor protein and Z for beta galactosidase. So it should be 2, 3, 4 and 1. Right? Option number 1. Right? Question number 171. It is related to the symbols of pedigree analysis. Which of the following symbols represents meeting between relatives in human pedigree? So they are asking about consanguineous marriage or mating. Right? So consanguineous mating, it is represented by 2 lines between a male and a female. Say a single line, it represents mating, right? Whereas presence of double line, it represents consanguineous mating between closely related individuals. So option should be 1. Right? Moving to the next question, question number 172. Right? Related to statements again, right? Assertion and reason type. So the statement for assertion is endometrium is necessary for implantation of blastocyst, right? Which is very much true, right? There is a requirement of endometrium in which there is the implantation of this blastocyst. So blastocyst, it embeds itself into the endometrium wall to gain nourishment for the development, and over there only there will be formation of placenta. Right? So let us see the statement for the reason. In the absence of fertilization, the corpus luteum degenerates, that causes disintegration of endometrium, which is also correct. Right? If the corpus luteum degenerates, decrease in progesterone occurs, and due to decrease in the progesterone, endometrium will shed, because progesterone is required for maintenance of endometrium. Right? But here it is not explaining the correct reason for the necessity. Right? The correct reason should be endometrium is necessary for implantation because the blastocyst embeds into endometrium and gains nourishment. Right? So both the statements are true, but it is not a correct explanation. Right? So option 1. Okay. Next, 173, again an assertion reason statement. Assertion is nephrons are of two types, cortical and juxtamedullary nephrons. It is based upon their position. So, in the cortical region, cortical nephrons will be seen, right? And juxtamedullary nephron, they run deep in medulla, right? In the medulla region of the kidneys. So, the statement is correct. Assertion is correct. Reason statement, if you see, juxtamedullary nephrons have a short loop of Henle. No. So, comparatively, they have longer loop of Henle. Right? Loop of Henle is wrong. Right? So, here the statement is incorrect. So, directly we can go with A is a true, but R is false. Option 2. Question number 174. Radial symmetry is not found in adults. Here they are talking about adults. Not found in the adults of a phylum. Hemichordata in adults, bilateral symmetry. Coelenterata in adults, radial symmetry. When we talk about echinodermata, larva has bilateral. Adult, it has radial. Ctenophora, radial symmetry. Right? So the correct option should be hemichordata. Option 1. Right. Question number 175. A matching type of question, right, related to neural control and coordination from the sensory perception and processing from eye. Fovea. Fovea, it is a site in the macula lutea, the yellow spot, right? And over here, the cones are highly concentrated. It is the point of greatest visual acuity of resolution, right? So, fovea will be third option. Iris, it is the visible colored portion of the eye, right? It is the visible colored portion of the eye. Then blind spot, if you see, blind spot is the area from where the optic nerve arises. Over there, photoreceptors are absent, right? Image would not be formed. So, C will be 4. Sclera, it is the external layer of eye. So, it should be 3, 1, 4 and 2. 3, 1, 4 and 2. Option 4. Right. Moving further to the next question, question number 176. Which of the following statement is correct? The next statement you have to see over here. Biomagnification refers to increase in the concentration of toxicant at successive trophic levels, which is true, right? With increased trophic level, there will be accumulation of the toxicants because they are not metabolized. They will be accumulated at successive trophic levels. So this is a correct statement. Presence of large amount of nutrients in water restricts algal bloom. No, it does not restrict, rather it promotes. Algal bloom decreases fish mortality. No, it does not decrease, rather it is increasing the mortality of fishes. Eutrophication refers to increase in the domestic sewage. No, eutrophication is aging of lakes. Right? So, option 1 is correct. Right? Moving to the next question. Multiple statement type. Which of the following statements are correct regarding female reproductive cycle? In non-primate female mammals, the cyclical changes that occur are called as Easter cycle, which is correct. Primates, menstrual cycle. Non-primate, Easter cycle. Right? The first menstrual cycle begins at puberty and it is called as menopause. Not menopause, it should be menarche. So this statement is wrong. B is incorrect. Lack of menstruation may be indicative of pregnancy, which is correct. If there is no menstruation, it can be an indicative of pregnancy. Cyclic menstruation extends between menarche and menopause, which is also true. The duration between the first menstruation and the last menstruation, right? Last menstrual cycle will be taken as the menopause, right? It is also correct. So except B, all are correct. A, C, and D. These are the correct statements. Option number 3. Right? Moving further to the next question, question number 178. Statement 1. In prokaryotes, the positively charged DNA is negatively charged. So, this statement becomes wrong. In eukaryotes, the negatively charged DNA is wrapped around positively charged histone octamer to form a nucleosome, which is correct. So, statement 1 is incorrect, right? But statement 2 is true. Option 3 should be the correct option. Okay. Next question number 179. It is related to adaptive radiation. Select the correct group of Australian marsupials. In adaptive radiation, you have adaptive radiation related to Darwinian finches, Australian marsupials, and placental mammals. If you see Numbat, it is an Australian marsupial. Spotted cascers, it is also a Australian marsupial. Flying phalanger or the sugar glider, it is also a Australian marsupial. Right? So correct option we got already over here. The first option. Why not the other option? Mole, it is an placental mammal. Flying squirrel, it is a marsupial. Tasmanian tiger cat, it is also a marsupial. But because of the mole, right? Instead of this, if it would have been marsupial mole, it would be an Australian marsupial. Lemur, it is a placental mammal. Anteater, right? It is also a placental mammal. Wolf also is a placental mammal. Tasmanian wolf, Australian marsupial. Black cat, placental mammal. Marsupial mole, Australian marsupial. Right? So from the adaptive radiation part of the evolution, this question is asked. Next, moving to the next question. Again, a match the following question related to the excretory structures. Right? Question number 180. Taenia. In case of taenia, it is a flatworm. Right? In case of platyhelminthes, excretion occurs with the help of flame cells. Paramecium, it is a protozoa where contractile vacuole helps in excretion. Periplaneta, it is cockroach. In case of cockroach, excretory structures are uricose glands. Felitima, it is a annelid earthworm, right? Excretory structures are nephridia, right? So for A, it should be 3. A, 3, B, 2, C, 4, and D, 1. Right? Correct option is option 2. Moving to the next question, which is an assertion reason type of question from the reproductive health part. So here assertion statement states that amniocentesis for sex determination is one of the strategies of reproductive and child health care program. See, RCH, under RCH, there was ban on amniocentesis. Right? Because due to amniocentesis, there was a misuse of amniocentesis, which led to increase the female feticide. So RCH saw that there was a statutory ban on it. So it is wrong. Assertion statement is wrong. A is false. Reason: ban on amniocentesis checks increase menace of female feticide, which is true, right? Because of the ban only, female feticide got prevented. Right? So A false, R true. Third option. Right? Moving to the next question. Which of the following is not a cloning vector? YAC, yeast artificial chromosome. PBR 322, it is a plasmid vector. BAC, bacterial artificial chromosome. Right? So these are the different types of vectors. Probe, if you see, it can be a single stranded DNA or RNA. It is used for identification. Right? So prove will be the answer. It is not a vector. YAC and BAC. This was used even in case of Human Genome Project. And PDR 322, a very common type of plasmid vector which is used in rDNA technology. Right? Moving to the next question, question number 183. It is from the environmental issues, right, from the air pollution. Statement 1. Electrostatic precipitators is most widely used in thermal power plants, which is correct. Right? The pollutants that come out from it, in order to remove the particulate matter, right, this electrostatic precipitators are used. Electrostatic precipitator in thermal power plant removes ionizing radiations. No. Particulate matter. It is helpful to remove the particulate matter. So statement 1 is correct. Statement 2 is incorrect. Right? Option 2. Right. Next question, question number 184. It is related to, we can say, electrocardiogram. P wave. In case of an ECG, P wave, it represents what? It represents the depolarization of atria. Right? And just after the Q wave, we can say it will cause beginning of systole of whom? Systole of ventricles. Beginning of systole. And the QRS complex, if you see, QRS wave, it represents depolarization of ventricles. Right? So it should be 4. And the T wave, it causes repolarization. It represents repolarization of ventricles. Right? 2. So 3, 1, 4 and 2. Option 4. Right? Question number 185. Here they are asking about the respiratory volumes and capacities. Vital capacity of a lung. In vital capacity, it will include inspiratory reserve volume plus tidal volume and expiratory reserve volume. Right? Altogether, it comes under vital capacity. Right? If residual volume is included, then it will become what? Total lung capacity. Right? So they are asking about vital capacity. Vital capacity includes IRV, PV and ERV. So option 3. Option 3 would be the correct answer. Okay. Next, question number 186. Right? It is related to cell cycle and cell division. Statement 1. During G0 phase of cell cycle, the cell is metabolically inactive. No. Right? It is not metabolically inactive, rather it is active. So statement 1 is wrong. Statement 2 states that the centrosome undergoes duplication during S phase of interphase, right, which is helpful for the nuclear division and all. Right? So it is a correct statement. So statement 1 is incorrect. Statement 2 is correct. Right? Option 3. Right? Moving further to the next question, the part of human brain that helps in the regulation of sexual behavior, expression of excitement, pleasure, rage, fear, etc. means the emotions. Limbic system, if you see, a part of forebrain, it is called as the emotional brain. So limbic system along with the hypothalamus helps in the regulation of all these types of emotions. So option 4. Corpus callosum, if you see, it helps in connection of the two cerebral hemispheres. Thalamus, relay center of the brain, major center for signal, sensory and motor signaling. Brainstem, if you see, the midbrain and the hindbrain part. Corpora quadrigemina, the 4 optic lobes. Hippocampus, it helps in the conversion of short-term memory into long-term memory. Moving to the next question, question number 188. Right? Excretion in case of cockroach. Right? So excretory structures in the cockroach. Phallic gland, these are reproductive structures in case of male cockroach. No. Urethral gland, in case of male, help in excretion. Yes. Nephrocyte associated to the heart, these are also helping in excretion. Fat bodies, they store the excretory waste, right? So helping in excretion. Collateral glands present in case of a female, which do not help in excretion. So B, C and D only. Option 2. Next question, question number 189. Again, multiple statements. Statement A. Here you have to see the correct statements. An excessive loss of body fluid from body switches off. When there is a loss of body fluid, there will be switching on. Right? This statement is incorrect. ADH facilitates water reabsorption to prevent diuresis. The name itself, anti-diuretic hormone. So it is preventing diuresis. Correct. ANF causes vasodilation. ANF, which is released in response to high blood pressure, acts as a potent vasodilator, because of which it will decrease the blood pressure. Correct. ADH causes increase in the blood pressure. ADH helps in absorption of water, reabsorption of the water from the distal parts. Right? Blood volume increases, blood pressure will also increase. And if the blood pressure increases, we know that GFR should increase, not decrease. Right? So it is wrong. So B, C and D, first option, are the correct set of statements. Moving on to the next question, question number 190. Right? Which one of the following is not an advantage of inbreeding? Right? So we know that inbreeding, it helps in increasing homozygosity, helps in development of pure lines. Right? It exposes harmful recessive genes that are eliminated by selection. Correct? It is an advantage. Right? So removal of the less desirable traits, elimination of less desirable genes and accumulation of superior genes takes place. This is also an advantage because of inbreeding. It decreases the productivity of inbred population after continuous inbreeding. It is a disadvantage. Continuous inbreeding decreases productivity, right, and fertility, which is a disadvantage. Right? It decreases homozygosity. Decreasing homozygosity, it increases homozygosity. Right? So it is not the correct statement related to inbreeding, but here the question is not an advantage of inbreeding. Right? So a problem, right? NCERT statement says that, however, the problem is when there is a continuous inbreeding. Right? And continuous inbreeding leads to inbreed depression. Right? So option should be 3. Okay. Next question. Which of the following statements are correct regarding skeletal muscles? Muscle bundles are held together by collagenous connective tissue layer called fascicle. No, fascicle is a muscle bundle. Okay. So connective tissue layer, right? The connective tissue layer, if you see, it is called as fascia. Okay. Sarcoplasmic reticulum of muscle fiber is storehouse of calcium ions. Correct? Right? So these are stored in the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Stated appearance of skeletal muscle fibers is due to the distribution pattern of actin and myosin, which is also correct. M line is considered as functional unit of contraction called sarcomere? No. So the distance between the two Z lines, it is a sarcomere. Right? So it is incorrect. Right? So correct statements will be B and C only. Right? Question number 192. Again related to organisms and population. Related to populations part. Logistic growth. Right? Logistic growth will be seen in case of sigmoid curve when the resources availability is limited. Right? So limited resource availability, logistic growth. Exponential growth will be seen when the resources are unlimited, J-shaped curve. Expanding age pyramid. In case of expanding population, the pre-reproductive individuals are more, followed by reproductive and post-reproductive. So C should be 3. Stable age pyramid will have percentage of individuals in the pre-reproductive stage comparatively same as in the reproductive. So D should be 4. Right? So 2, 1, 3 and 4. Option 4. Got it? Next, question number 193, right? It is related to the coding sequence. Right? So here, which of the following is the sequence on corresponding coding strand if the sequence on the mRNA form, right? Here they are asking about the sequence on corresponding coding strand, right? If the sequence of the mRNA formed is as follows. So here you have to maintain the same orientation. Orientation should be same, right? And the uracil, right? U should be replaced by T. So U replaced by T, if you see, we have in the two options, option 2 and 3, but the orientation remains same. So that is seen in case of option 2, right, which would be a correct answer. Okay. Moving on to the next question, question number 194. Which of the following statements are correct? Basophils are most abundant cells of total WBC. No. These are least. Most abundant are neutrophils. They are the neutrophils. Basophils secrete histamine, serotonin and heparin, which is correct. Basophils are involved in inflammatory response, which is also correct. Basophils have kidney-shaped nucleus. Kidney-shaped nucleus, it is seen in case of monocytes. Okay. Basophils are agranulocytes. No, basophils are granulocytes. Right? So the correct statements will be B and C only. Okay. Option number 2. Moving to the next question, question number 195, a matching type of question. Mast cells. Say, mast cells are found in case of connective tissues. Right? So these are found in case of areolar connective tissue. Right? And the inner surface of the bronchioles, right? It is lined by ciliated epithelium. Right? So 2, 1. Blood, if you see, it is a specialized connective tissue. 4. Tubular parts of nephron, they are lined by cuboidal epithelium. 3. So 2, 1, 4 and 3. Right? Option 2. Next, question number 196. Right? So over here it is talking about sexual dimorphism in case of cockroach. Right? So presence of anal styles in males, absent in females. It is a sexually dimorphic character. Presence of sclerites, no, present in both male and female. Anal cerci, again, both male and female. Dark body color and anal cerci, both male and female. Right? So option should be first. Next, question number 197. Which of the following are not under control? Remember, not under control of thyroid hormone. Maintenance of water and electrolyte balance, it is a function of thyroid hormone, thyroxine. Regulation of BMR, basal metabolic rate, okay, it is also a function of thyroxine. Normal rhythm of sleep-wake cycle, melatonin, pineal gland, so not a function of thyroid gland. Development of immune system, again, we can say it is related to the pineal gland. Supports the process of RBC formation, RBC synthesis, it is a function of thyroid gland. Right? So C and D only. Right? Next, question number 198. Right? Over here, if you see, it is again related to the cell division. Select the correct statements. A. Tetrad formation is seen during lactotein. No, not during lactotein. Late zygotine stage. Right? Next, during anaphase, the centromeres split and the chromatids, right? And the chromatids separate, right? Which is correct. Okay. Terminalization takes place during packetine, not during packetine, rather diakinesis. Right? Nucleolus, Golgi complex and AR are reformed during telophase, which is correct. Right? Crossing over takes place between sister chromatids? No. It is between non-sister chromatids of the homologous chromosome. Right? So over here, the correct statements would be B and D only. Option 1. Next, question number 199. The unique mammalian characteristics are, in case of mammals, presence of a hair is seen, pinna is seen, mammary glands also is seen. Right? Indirect development? No. Direct. Direct development is seen. Right? Monocondylic skull? Again, no. Dicondylic. Right? Tympanic membrane, it is also seen in case of amphibia, right? Reptilia also, right? Here they are asking about unique mammalian characteristics, right? So option should be 1, right? The last question, question number 200. Select the correct statements with reference to the chordates. First, A. Presence of a mid-dorsal solid and double nerve cord. See, mid-dorsal is okay, but solid and double nerve cord? No. Hollow, single. In case of chordates, single, dorsal, hollow nerve cord. So this is incorrect. Presence of closed circulatory system? True. Presence of paired pharyngeal bracelets? Also true. Presence of dorsal heart? No. Ventral. This is the presence of ventral heart. Triploblastic pseudocoelomates? Not pseudocoelomates. They are eucoelomates. Right? So the correct statements with reference to chordates would be B and C only. Right? Option 1. Okay? Thank you, students. So with this, we are done with our biology discussion.